Okay, you guys, we're doing 9-6. We're doing translation with parabolas. As you guys all know, I'm not going to lie to you, I do find this lesson perhaps obviously the most challenging of your parabolas because translation is always hardest. So I hope you guys are really watching the lesson and listening to my hints. I'll go slow, but bear with me. And try not to shortcut the way I'm doing it. I will tell you in the past, kids that actually did exactly what I said for this lesson, they did very well, but when you tried to shortcut it and do your own and skip things, they definitely struggled. Makes sense? Okay, so we all know when it's at the origin, it's x squared. You know, this is what we, oopsie, you know, your parent function, right? Or you guys have y squared equals 4px. Okay, so when we are translating, which means, and obviously not at origin, just like we've always done, what are the letters we use? We use the HK. The H goes with the X, the K goes with the Y. Okay, so what would this one look like? I'm gonna use a different color. So this one would look like X minus H squared equals, still keep the 4P, and then we got Y minus your K. Okay, remember the H goes with your X. And then this one would look like the Y minus, careful. Most common thing people are gonna put is K, but what goes with the K? Oh, I meant the H. But what goes with the Y? The K squared equals 4P, and then we have X minus H. Now, if you're like, well, obviously I get that, I understand, then what's so challenging? First of all, I will tell you, be careful. When I ask you to tell me the coordinates, be careful. Here's the H, here's your K. Now, I'll put 3 there. Be really careful here because plenty of people go K, like they go this and this. You got to get this first. This is your X coordinate. And then you have the K. So be careful. People will say like 4, 5, when in reality it should be 5, 4. Okay, so let's take a look. All right, so let's take a look at our first example. So the first example is going to say, find, first we'll do the vertex, focus, directrix, and then we're sketching. And obviously, this case, if you're like, hey, why is there one additional? It's because now we're not at the origin. So I do recommend your order being like 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so here is your first example. I'll do it like this. Do it in this color. So we have x minus 3 squared equals 4y plus 2. Okay, follow my steps. Remember what we always used to do when we did like shifting? You always went back to the parent function. We will be doing the same thing. So what I want you guys to do is to rewrite without your shift. Again, do this. It'll help you guys out. I promise. You know I don't lie to you. And what do I mean without the shift? I mean find your vertex. This will help you find your p-value, which is 0, 0. Okay? So you're going to do that. Then from here, so this is step 1. So step 2, your vertex is 0, 0. Step 3, you guys are going to just what we did yesterday. State the focus first, which is a point. State your directrix, which is a line, an x or a y equals. And then from there, what you're going to do is you are going to, using your actual, and I'll explain this, vertex, which means from the problem, which is the actual H and K. Using that, you will apply this shift, we'll say, to all, oh my God, I don't know what that word, other key points. Okay, so write that down. So again, we're gonna rewrite without the shift. We're gonna find your vertex. We're gonna state the focus. We're gonna state the directrix. And then we're going to use our actual, so you can say you have 4 steps here. You're gonna use the actual vertex and apply it. We've always done something like this. Okay, so hopefully you have that down. Give you guys a moment. Okay, let's start. All right. So let's rewrite this as if it wasn't a shift. If it wasn't a shift, we all know it would be, x squared equals 4y. Correct? That is without the shift. Okay, exactly what we did yesterday. So what did we do yesterday? So pretending I gave you this problem, not this problem. So again, go back to this problem. All right, so blah, blah, blah yesterday. So first thing we did was rewrote the basic equation. All right, so now we're gonna do this and we're gonna solve for P. Exactly like we probably shouldn't have done power, but we're keeping it like that. Let's solve for P. So P is 1. Okay, same thing. So let's write our values. So from this, we have our vertex, which is 0, 0. Okay, what's our focus? Well, P is next to Y, so it's going to be our Y. And what's our directrix? Y, but the opposite value. Okay, that's not your answer. I'll do the answer in, I don't know, whatever, the purple. Now, so here was step 1 was rewrote without the shift. Step 2, you found your vertex, and this is step 3. Okay, so step 4, apply the shift. Now, if you're like, well, what's the shift? Your shift is the vertex. Well, what's the vertex? Your vertex is right here. Okay, so what's my vertex? Your vertex is, remember from when we did circles, it's just the value. Or you could say the opposite value, right? Like x minus h squared. So it's the opposite. So your opposite of a -3, +3, +2, -2. This is your shift. Besides the fact that it's the vertex. So if you're like, well, what do you mean? Well, this value you're applying, think about it. This is the value you're applying to everybody. +3 -2, check. So we want a +3 -2. So what's my focus? Your focus is 3, -1. Done. Now, here's the hard part people do. Y. It's not really that hard, but people mess up. The Y, I want the Y coordinate. So the Y coordinate is the -2. So you're minusing 2 from here. So that means my directrix is Y equals -3. And there you go, you're done. So everything's, and this is your answer, not this. Everything stems from the shift. Do your original and then apply your shift. And now if you're asked to sketch, plot the vertex. So 3, -2, I'm gonna put V. Focus is 3, -1. Directrix is Y equals -3. Look, this makes sense. If this is 3, -2, this distance is 1, and that distance is 1, and 1 is my P, which is your distance. So, and again, eat the focus. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm losing some shade there. All right, so there you go with that one. Let's do another one. I need to move so you guys can see. There we go. So we're gonna do, I know it's gonna be a little longer, it's because I want your examples. And I do think this lesson is your hardest lesson. We're gonna do 3 of these, and then we'll do 3 writing. So we're finding, and then we're gonna do writing. All right, so we have Y plus 1 squared equals 20, and then X plus 3. Okay, so let's talk our way through this. First step, we write without the shift. Then we're finding, second step, find the vertex. So let's do what we normally do. We write the basic equation. Like that. Okay, now let's solve for P. So we have 20 equals 4p. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. I got a shadow here from the sun. So p equals 5. Okay. So my vertex, well, obviously when nothing's here, my vertex is 0, 0. My focus, okay, P is next to the X. Keep losing that. So if P is next to the X, then this X is going to be 5, 0. And if my directrix, well, if this is the X, so this is X, and it's your opposite. Bear with that. Now, we want the actual. Okay, so that was your step, I don't know, 3. So now let's apply our shift. So what is our actual vertex? Careful, this is where people do -1, -3. But this has to start it. Why? Because the X value starts it. X happens to be on the left, X is on the right. Do not make that mistake because that'll mess everything up. Be really careful. X. So you have to really look. So -3, -1. There's your vertex. So now let's apply the shift to everyone. -3, -1. So focus. Focus is 5 minus 3, so 2. 0 minus -1 is -1. Directrix. I want the X. So take the X, so -3. And it's an X value, which is -8. This is your final answer. And now let's sketch. All right, so we want to vertex. -3, -1, vertex. Directrix is 2, -1. And then here is X equals 8. Oops, focus bar, sorry. I lost my train of thought. And then we eat the focus. Follow the steps I'm giving you, please. I promise you, otherwise it's too complicated. All right, let's do one more. Hopefully 3rd time's a charm and it'll make sense for you all. And then we're gonna write the equations. Again, I know my lessons are a little bit longer, but I'm trying to really explain the problems to you because I find it hard. All right, I'll just stop talking. 3. Okay, so we're gonna do X plus 3 squared equals -12y minus 1. All right, talk yourself through the problem. First step, rewrite. And then we want to solve, so let's rewrite it as we've always been doing, the standard equation. Okay, let's solve for P. So we have -12 equals 4P. I can't block that sun. So -12 equals 4P, so divide by 4. So P equals -3. Sorry, I cannot block the sun. You gotta bear with it. All right, so if I'm at the origin, so vertex 0, 0, focus. Okay, so P is next to my Y, so that means -3 is my Y, and I have a 0. Directrix, I know it's a Y, and it's the opposite, so it's Y equals 3. Okay, now let's apply our shift. So we have the actual vertex. X is on the left, so we're good. So X is -3 or Y 1. Okay, focus. Let's apply our shift. So we have a -3 and a +1. So a -3 is going to give us -3, -2. Directrix, just the Y. The Y is the 1, so add 1. So Y equals 4. And let's do a quick sketch. Tiny one. -3, 1. -3, -2. Y equals 4. Eat the focus. Weird shadow. What is that? I don't know. What's right here? All right, sorry. All right, let's continue on. I don't know what's going on with that weird shadow. Let's move a little bit. Stop slightly better. Okay, so now we are going to write the equation when I give you the pieces. I know it's a long video, don't whine about it. I'm having some problems with this. Okay, whatever. Let's continue. So now we're gonna write the equations. These become a teeny bit harder, sorry. We're doing 4. We're doing 4 because there's 2 different scenarios and I want to do 2 of each, so hence 4. Whatever. All right, here we go. First one. You have a vertex. I'm going to star this. I do think these are your hardest. Is at 1, 6. Focus, negative 3, 6. All right. So, let me think how I want to do it. There's a couple of ways you guys can do this. What I would recommend is maybe doing a sketch. So maybe step 1, so there's a couple of ways, I don't know. Maybe step 1, I would do a sketch, and the reason I would sketch is to figure out if it's going, you know, this way or this way, to figure out that, and then positive or negative, right? So if it's going this way, it is going to be a y squared. If it's going this way, it's also a y squared, right? And then you figure out the other ones. If it's going up or down, then we should know it's the x squared. So maybe that's something. Again, you guys can pick up your own ways. All right, so if I do a kind of a sketch, so this is step 1. I know that 1, you have to make sure you know how to plot something. 1, 6 is vertex, and negative 3, 6 is focus. 1, 6, negative, whatever. Negative 3, 6 is here, focus. Okay, so that means I'm eating my focus, so I know I'm going this way. So the first thing I know is that my p-value, I'm trying to remember, I think. Your p is going to be negative. Okay, and then what you also know is if you're going this way, you should know it's going to be a y squared. Okay, so second step we'll say is write your equation with the vertex and for p. Okay, so watch. So that was your first step. So now we're gonna write the equation with the vertex. Here is my vertex, ignore that. So you're writing it with this. We just decided it's y squared. So it's gonna be y, take the y coordinate, minus 6 squared equals 4. P, here we'll put negative p. You said it was negative. And then x minus 1. Okay, we gotta do this a couple times. I think they're hardest. Okay, then step 3. You want to find your absolute value of p. Remember, p is their distance from, we can say, vertex to focus in this case, or vertex to directrix. And let's just write it's always positive. However, take a look. You know, we put the negative because obviously it's going to the left. Okay, so the question is what is, so we did step 1, so here's step 2, step 3. Watch how easy this is. Here, you're at 1, 6, maybe write the point, and this is negative 3, 6. The value that's changing. How do you go from 1 to negative 3. Again, you can also look here. There's a couple ways I do it, so I'm just trying to get them all out there. So from 1 to negative 3, what's the p-value? 4. So p is 4. So we're going to put that right in here. So it's negative 4 though, right? Because we said we were going to, let's turn to that way. So then when I write my final equation, you guys get y minus 6 squared equals negative 16, because it's going to the left, and then x minus 1. We're going to do it again, so don't worry. Maybe the second time around obviously makes it better. All right, so number 2. I'm going to say your vertex 3, negative 1, focus is at 3, 2. All right, so step 1, if you have your notes, step 1, here we go. We're going to sketch 3, negative 1, vertex, 3, 2, focus. So here you guys go. First of all, we should realize that P is positive. Great. And if you're going up, you should know it's going to be an x squared. Just try to get that down. I don't know how else to tell you. I could tell you. The value that doesn't repeat is x squared. Like, that's how you do it. Look, these values are repeating. I'm sorry, I didn't mean not repeating. The values that are repeating, so that means you know it's a y squared. These values are repeating, so you know it's an x squared. I don't know. Told you to listen to my hints. All right, second step, let's start writing the equation. So it's an x, because we know it's x squared, minus, use the x, squared equals 4, a positive p. Remember, in this case, that one was a negative. And then we have x plus, oh my God, y, plus 1. Okay, let's find our p-value. You can look just here, or you can, state these coordinates, 3, negative 1, 3, 2. But you're going from here to here, the value that's not repeating. So how do you go from negative 1 to 2? You went plus 3. Well, first of all, it's always positive. So our p-value is 3. Again, you guys can look from here, look from here. How do you go from 1 to negative 3? I don't care, positive. It's always positive. From 1 to negative 3, it's 4. From negative 1 to 2, it's 3. So let's put the 3 value right here, and let's multiply. These are your hardest ones. After today, you guys are done with parabola. Okay? So again, hopefully you followed that. I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want to waste more time. Sorry, we got to do your last 2. The last 2 is obviously I'm going to give you the vertex and the directrix. Okay, so let's take a look. So now I'm going to give you 2 more problems, you guys. The vertex, 4, 5, directrix, x equals negative 2. All right, same steps. So let's reiterate it 3rd time. Hopefully 4th time will be a charm. First step is we sketch. Okay, so we have 4, 5, vertex. Directrix, x equals negative 2. Make sure you guys are going the right way. So it's eating, the focus. So you want to go the opposite way of the directrix. So we should realize it's going this way. Okay, so if it's going that way, it's positive. Lighting. So it's positive, and it's going to be a y squared. So positive y squared. Okay, second step. Let's write the equation so far. I know that it's going to be a y squared. Use the y coordinate to start. 4px minus 4. All right, let's figure out the p-value. So our p-value is the distance from here to here. All right, so what is our p-value? Okay, or figure out from here to here. So think from 4 to negative 2. It's the absolute value of it. It's 6. Or take a look. If you're a 4 here, you go 4 to the origin, or the 0, and then you need 2 more. So P is 6. Or again, 4 to negative 2, which is your absolute value. 4 minus negative 2 is 6. The distance is 6, so we put 6 here, and then we finish the problem. It's lighting. Okay? All right, let's do one more so you guys can be done. It's like I'm losing. They got to keep moving because the sun's moving on me. All right, so 4. We got vertex, negative 2, 1. Directrix, we'll just write that, equals y equals 5. All right, let's do our steps. Step 1, sketch. Okay, so step 1, we got our sketching. Negative 2, 1, vertex, directrix, y equals 5. So it's opposite of the directrix, so we're gonna go down because we're gonna be eating the focus. So the fact that we're going down, p, negative, and if we're going down, it's going to be an x squared. Okay, so let's start writing. So step 2, we're gonna go x, take the x value, so x plus 2 squared equals, we got 4, we got a negative p. And then we have y plus minus 1. All right, next step, let's find our p-value. So think about this. If this was negative 2, 1, and this is 5, or obviously you guys are looking here from 1 to 5. I don't care how you guys do it. From 1 to 5, our p-value is 4. Okay? So we put it here, and it's negative. We already deciphered that, so negative 4. So our final step. Whatever. So we have x plus 2 squared equals negative 16y minus 1. Done. Yes, I think these are your hardest ones. I hope that you guys watch the video. Hopefully it's helpful. I'm trying to get in the shadows. There's no point in me re-explaining it, but follow the steps that I gave you. I promise you, they will be really helpful. There's, steps for this and steps for writing, steps for sketching. So hopefully you guys were okay. Try the best you guys can with homework and I'll answer questions. Okay, finished parabolas. Bye.